Divisions over Khalistan were on display at this Diwali celebration near Toronto last year. Large crowds for and against the movement facing off. This statue of Indian leader Mahatma Gandhi was defaced with the word Khalistan. Graffiti, too, at this Hindu temple attacking Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
When we look at the...
Welcome to part 2 of the Khalistani infiltration of the Liberal Party and Jagmeet Singh. Now, before I get too deep into this, I've got a few things to say. First one is I'm sorry I'm going to have a part 3 because this would be way too long. And I need that in order to really get it across and expose how badly the Trudeau government used the Khalistani movement, let it explode, and destroyed us globally and internally in doing so in order to hold power. But the good news is it backfired on them. And I'm hoping we see it in the polls. And the more that you like, share, and subscribe and get the word out to other Canadians, I think it can make a huge difference, especially in the voting aspect, for it to never happen again. Knowledge is power. Number 2, I've been humming and hawing about this. My gut's been kind of turned today because I didn't want to come off in the first one as though like I was pinpointing an entire part of the Indian culture, the Sikh culture. All cultures and religions have gone through stages where they have some type of an extremist, some type of a nastiness that festers within them. And most of the time they learn from it and they move on. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. I don't want in any way for anybody to look at any Sikh, Hindu, Gurshwarn, any of that culture in a negative way. You've got to be able to pinpoint the evil itself, and you can't label an entire society as that, like the Liberals and the NDP want you to. This whole right-wing extremist where if you're a Catholic, then you're KKK, or you're an extremist. If you're white, then you're bad. And if you're, black, and then you're this. And if you're brown, and then you're... That's bullshit. All this bullshit. Every culture's got evil in it, and in order for us to live better and to do better, we have to have the ability to speak up, point it out, and not be shunned or pushed away or called stupid little lines like, oh, you're a racist, which is what the Liberals and NDP do all the time. Jagmeet's one of the worst. You can't argue with the guy without him going, you're a racist. And of course, all the Liberals do it. That's the first thing they do. You're a misogynist, you're whatever. They label you for speaking truth to power. Because that's how they hold on to it. That's how they're enablers. Now, third of all, at no point in time do I want anybody walking away from this thinking that I'm saying Jagmeet Singh is a terrorist, because he's not. I've never heard him actually say harmful words like the Khalistanis do. Not that I haven't heard him say hateful words, because I have. He gets away with a lot. For being a politician, he should have been ousted a long time ago, because personally, well, obviously, he disgusts me as a human being. What he's done to try and ascertain power. Mr. What has he got? 7 Rolexes, Gucci suits, and Maseratis. He's a loser. He's a loser. He's on a quest for power. Him and his brother are just complete waste of skin. But I'm not saying he's a racist or a terrorist. Just he's feeding a terrorist organization to keep power, to take power, divide, conquer, right? Fear, hate, and division. So I just want to clarify that out as well. Yes, I completely despise the guy, but I'm not saying he's a terrorist. Just get that out there right now. So anyways, this part is going to be the learning. I'm going to take you all the way back, and there's a really good little short documentary that will teach everybody out there really quickly on the Khalistan movement, the birth to where we are today. And then we're going to start with Nisjar's murder, and then I'm going to show you how Trudeau blew the Five Eyes intelligence, lied to everybody on television, lied to the inquiry, how the inquiry itself was all lies, how all the MPs are involved, how the party is being destroyed, his links, and why, your mind's going to go. But on this one, more than anything, it's going to be teaching, and then I'm going to just kind of break right into the final episode, which will just lay everything right out there. So without further ado, I can't say her name. I wish I could. I've tried. I practiced all day. I still can't say it. I'm so sorry. She's a great journalist. She's an awesome orator, and she does really good work. And she's really good at doing this type of stuff. Breaking things down into a short story. Kudos to her. And gravitas for keeping her and hiring her, because she really is amazing. Let's begin the history lesson.
On the 2nd of June 1984, the Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, spoke on All India Radio. She appealed to all sections of Punjab to not shed blood, but hatred. Some said it was a dishonest call. An assault was about to take place in Amritsar. Troops and artillery had reached the Golden Temple with one purpose: flush out Khalistani separatists holed up inside. This included their leader, Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale, a man who had taken up arms against India's sovereignty. For the next 72 hours, there was bloodshed. More than 400 lives were lost. This was Operation Blue Star, a miscalculation. It neither ended terrorism nor Khalistani separatism, and definitely not the politics of religion. What it did was leave an indelible mark on the memories of Sikhs in India and abroad, a mark which continues to be exploited to this day. Hello and welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Palki Sharma Upadhyay. The Khalistan movement is now history. It has lost the support of the Sikh community in India, but the ongoing protests near New Delhi have turned the spotlight on this long-dead movement. One issue is being used to reignite another. Hashtags have been flying, demanding a separate Sikh state. Rallies are being held outside India by Khalistanis. How did a protest in India become a debate about Khalistan? What exactly is the Khalistan movement? How did it begin? Does it still have support in India, or is it just a tool for foreign forces to stoke unrest in India? The story begins in the year 1929. Motilal Nehru presented the Purna Swaraj, the Declaration of Independence, at the Lahore session of Congress. There were three groups of people who opposed it. The first was Muhammad Ali Jinnah of the Muslim League. The second was Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar, campaigning for the rights of Dalits. And the third was Master Tara Singh of the Shiromani Akali Dal. This was the first ever articulation, the first ever demand for a Sikh homeland. By 1947, the demand turned into a movement. The Punjabi Suba movement, the partition of India, divided the state of Punjab into two. The Akali Dal wanted a separate Sikh Suba or province, a separate Sikh state within India on linguistic grounds. The States Reorganization Commission rejected the demand. There were raids and protests. The movement lasted 19 long years, all the way till 1966. That's when the Indira Gandhi government finally relented. It divided Punjab into three parts. One Sikh majority state called Punjab, another Hindi majority state called Haryana, and the third part was Chandigarh, a union territory and a shared capital of Punjab and Haryana, and some of the hilly regions were merged into Himachal Pradesh. The trifurcation did not really solve the problem. Some were not happy with the areas allocated to Punjab. Others did not like the idea of a shared capital. So in 1973, Sikhs demanded autonomy for the state of Punjab. This is the Anandpur Sahib Resolution, a document that sought the right for Sikhs to frame their own constitution. By the 1980s, the resolution got a lot of traction. It found supporters. The biggest one was Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale, a Sikh scholar who later turned into a militant. He had been campaigning across Punjab, but his views were too radical. Khushwant Singh, the famous Indian author, described Bhindranwale as a man who, quote-unquote, exhorted every Sikh to kill 32 Hindus to solve the Hindu-Sikh problem. In 1982, Bhindranwale joined hands with the Akali Dal to launch a civil disobedience movement that soon turned into insurgency. Bhindranwale became a dangerous cult figure. No rules, no scruples, no morality bound him. He resorted to extremism. And to escape arrest, he took up residence inside the Golden Temple. For 2 long years, the government of India did not act. New Delhi dragged its feet. Finally, in June 1984, Delhi intervened with Operation Blue Star. The media was blacked out, all travel was suspended. This was perhaps the biggest internal security mission undertaken by the Indian Army. 83 soldiers died. 249 were injured. At least 493 militants were killed. Operation Blue Star ended on the afternoon of the 10th of June, 1984. 4 months later, on October 31st, 1984, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her 2 Sikh bodyguards. Anti-Sikh riots followed. An estimated 8,000 Sikhs were killed. No one knows the full picture to this day. But this led to 2 decades of unrest in Punjab. There were multiple attacks by Khalistani separatists in India and abroad. This included the 1985 bombing of an Air India flight over the Atlantic, the 1986 assassination of General A.S. Vaidya, the 13th Army Chief of India, and in 1995, the Chief Minister of Punjab, Beyant Singh, was killed in a car bombing. All attacks were claimed by Khalistanis. Many Khalistanis found safe havens in the West. They began reinventing their narrative, promoted militants as heroes and martyrs of the faith. They used the Sikh diaspora for diplomatic and financial support. A number of pro-Khalistani groups propped up in the US, the UK, Germany, Canada and Pakistan. And the most notorious of them all is Sikhs for Justice, SFJ. And this man is the face of this body. A law graduate from Punjab University, currently an attorney in the US. You'll find his videos on social media. This man wants greater Khalistan, with headquarters in Lahore, which makes it amply clear who's driving the bus of his Khalistan cause. Pakistan. The same Pakistan where countless Sikhs were murdered and expelled in the name of Islam in 1947. In 1971, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the then Prime Minister, had told reporters that Pakistan would tear off a piece of India to avenge the loss of East Pakistan. No prizes for guessing which piece they're eyeing. Khalistan. The current Prime Minister of Pakistan tries to be subtle about his strategy. In November 2019, he reopened the Kartarpur corridor for Sikh pilgrims. Indian opposition leaders and ex-union ministers attended the inauguration. But so did notorious Khalistan supporters from Pakistan, like Gopal Singh Chawla. It was quite clear that what India saw as a pilgrim's corridor was in the eyes of Islamabad a potential Khalistan corridor. The Pakistan foreign minister called it a googly.
और आपने देखा और दुनिया ने देखा, पाकिस्तान ने देखा कि कल इमरान खान ने करतारपुर की गुगली फेंक दी.
Then we have Canada, a country that wears multiculturalism on its hat. The Canadian Prime Minister played to the galleries by visiting the Golden Temple on his visit to India. Do you know who was part of his entourage? Jaspal Atwal, a separatist convicted of trying to assassinate an Indian minister. And if this was not enough, the same year the Canadian government went on to remove Khalistani extremism from its report on terrorist threats vis-a-vis India and Canada. So we would like to show Mr. Trudeau this 2020 report.
Now, do you understand how deep that actually was? While the media here was making it out that he had just kind of dressed up in order to kind of hide how badly he actually disturbed a hornet's nest. Canadians were laughing about the way he dressed because he's an idiot and he's always got something in his Mr. Dress Up tickle trunk to dress up and show that he's got an IQ of 86. The guy's dumber than a sack of shit. But his puppet masters knew they need to stir the pot, fear, hate, and division in order to keep control, to finish the decimation and takeover of Canada, which I'm going to keep on exposing because the shit I found is mind-blowing. But can you imagine if you're of Indian descent living anywhere else in the world, here in Canada, Australia, America, and seeing that, and then knowing that he purposely brought a Khalistani assassin with him who got a light term? Now, I got to look this up. There's more research, but I want to know, was that judge appointed by a liberal? that sentenced him? The guy's an assassin. Trudeau took a Khalistani assassin back to stir up old bones that had been completely buried and forgotten and forgiven. He created a huge problem on the global stage, let alone here in Canada, which we started seeing on the streets get larger and larger and larger from that moment on, that the media doesn't show you.
By a top Canadian think tank, Macdonald-Laurier Institute. It called the Khalistan movement a geopolitical project by Pakistan which threatens the national security of Canadians as well as Indians. If only Justin Trudeau could see beyond his vote bank politics. Then we have the United Kingdom, another breeding ground for Khalistani separatists. In recent years, we've seen violent demonstrations by Khalistanis outside the Indian High Commission in London. In fact, just 2 months back, a protest in London was hijacked by Sikhs for Justice. Pro-Khalistan flags were raised. Known Khalistanis like Paramjit Singh Pamma were spotted at the rally. At another protest in Washington, Khalistani separatists desecrated the statue of Mahatma Gandhi. In Rome, they vandalized the Indian embassy office. They installed a Khalistani flag and scribbled Khalistan Zindabad on the walls. Do you see the pattern here? The Khalistan bogey has re-emerged globally. Foreign forces are using this dead movement as a tool to stoke unrest in India. Foreign governments are appeasing them to get votes. Thankfully, in India, the separatist movement is all but dead, which is why it is important to guard against those trying to reignite it. It is important to call out those who may want to hijack India's domestic issues, who may want to use a farmer protest to push a nefarious separatist agenda. Sikhs in India are not clamoring for an independent state. Some of them are protesting, and it would be wrong to label every critic a Khalistan supporter. By doing so, you only enable India's enemies to exploit the divisions. A fringe cannot define a majority. We must remember that the Sikh community's contribution to national security in India has been immense. The Sikh regiment is the most highly decorated regiment in the Indian army. Sikh soldiers have resolutely guarded the nation's frontiers for centuries. They have every right to protest. It's fundamental in every democracy, as fundamental as the right to disagree with those protesting.
Gravitas Plus, co-presented.
He said that so well, like I voiced at the beginning. You can't label them all for the few bad. And by not doing so and not pointing out the bad, you only allow them to grow. And that's purposely what Trudeau was doing. Now, this is how India saw the Nashar assassination.
Delhi to Surrey. World exclusive from Canada that's coming in. Look closely. These are our visuals, not from a secondary source. India Today gets you these visuals from the Gurdwara in Surrey.
See how she's pointing that out? They're not from a second source. These are real. These are real. They're in shock by what they're seeing in Canada, on billboards, on the top of temples.
Where this was that Khalistani extremist Hardeep Singh Nijjar was killed by unidentified gunmen, 2 gunmen, after his truck was blocked by a sedan in the parking lot of this Gurdwara in Canada, Surrey. What do you see? Khalistan banners, posters on top the place of worship. You won't see this in India's Gurdwaras too, where so much seva and public service is done, but clearly threatening diplomats of India, asking for a separate state for the Sikh. That is what Khalistan about that in terms of what Canada's extremists show. This is the only channel in Canada's. Sorry, let's take a look at some of the reactions that have come in of the Indian community members.
The hate on those signs. Actually calling for the death of like politicians in Canada. In Canada. You see how degrading that would be? Like, she had to actually say, like, this is actually real, people. Like, can you imagine? Like, check this out. This is real. In Canada. Right? Like, we're in trouble. This country's in big trouble. Media is the first problem because they're not talking about it. And the only way to fix it is to point it out. We have to point it out. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You're going to love this.
It was in 2021. Trudeau and his Liberals were voted back to power for a third consecutive term. However, they got only 154 of 338 seats in the parliament. This was short of 169 halfway mark. This is where Jagmeet Singh made the grand entry as the kingmaker. NDP, with 24 members of parliament, got into a confidence and supply agreement and lent support to Trudeau's government against any vote of no confidence. So the coalition Sarkar is put into ignition, but speed breakers also start to emerge. Today, he says the reason to withdraw from the government is inflation, soaring prices across sectors in Canada. But the agenda clearly appears to be to go big and go solo against Trudeau or the Liberals and against Pierre Poilievre or the Conservatives. Possibly that means to lead a certain third front, so to say. Now, all this is Canada's internal politics. It does not mean much to us. They can decide who the government should be led by. What does matter to us is what Trudeau did to relationship with India because of Jagmeet Singh and his ideological political views. Jagmeet Singh's anti-India provocative comments, his rejected Indian visa, his support to Khalistani extremist elements are all too well known. It is all in.
So I'm going to point something out there that she got wrong. And you're going to see through this video is what they weren't aware of. Is that Trudeau is kicking the hornet's nest and using these extremists more than Jagmeet is. Only because Trudeau is in a more powerful position and has the ability to do so. We'll continue on, but I just needed to correct that.
In public domain to keep this coalition government in place and possibly for a certain vote bank, not of the larger Sikh community but of pro-Khalistan elements, Trudeau turned a blind eye to criminal elements, anti-India activities, gave one statement after another, eventually ruined relationship with India, only to face what? His government in danger today and strained ties with another friendly nation. Because Jagmeet Ji is out to explore greener pastures, possibly aiming to become the next Prime Minister of Canada. And he is popular on the ground, so who knows what the future holds. And Justin Trudeau, now left reliant on support from other opposition lawmakers to survive confidence votes in the lower chamber of the parliament. Canada's leader of opposition, Pierre Poilievre, had a very interesting take on this. He threw a challenge to NDP and to Jagmeet Singh, who Poilievre said was sellout Singh, and said this is simply a media stunt that is being pulled off. And then added that if this announcement to withdraw is not simply buncombe, that this is serious business, then to prove it in the parliament and make some tax announcements.
So my message to sellout Singh is this. If you're serious about ending your costly carbon tax coalition with Trudeau, then commit today to voting for a carbon tax election at the earliest confidence vote in the House of Commons.
But the fact is, at an international level, because of this government and specifically Justin Trudeau not realizing the consequences of his statements and actions, have led to strained ties between India and Canada, and those tensions continue even today. It basically peaked in 2023. Remember when Canada paused talks on a proposed trade treaty with India, which was almost near completion. In September same year, Canada announced it had postponed an October trade mission to India. During the 2023 G20 New Delhi summit, Canada and India did not have a one-on-one meeting. There was one on the sidelines. Prime Minister Modi raised concerns with Trudeau about Khalistani protests or anti-India protests in Canada. Trudeau in turn brought up the accusations that Indian government was involved in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who has been designated as a criminal and terrorist by India. But to Trudeau, he was simply a Canadian citizen. Amid all of this, talks suffered. Ongoing trade discussions faced setbacks. Visa clearances suffered. Diplomats faced the axe in both the countries.
Now, what she's not aware of is what I'm going to show you when she's done talking. So we're just going to kind of let her wheel through this because I think it's kind of crucial for you to see these points. And then we're just going to start exposing the reality of what they don't really know.
Remember this? Prime Minister Narendra Modi tried to do this photo opportunity with him, but Canada's leader appeared not to be interested at all and walked away. This was really awkward. Trudeau, as the Prime Minister of a developed Western nation, could have used his position to better relationship with India, a country that's turning into a rising Asian power. India is 5th largest economy of the world right now, and Canada is 10th. Trudeau instead was seen at events where there were banners on the side of plans to assassinate Indian politicians and diplomats. He could have focused on the vibrant, diverse Indo-Canadian community, or specifically even the Sikh community in Canada. Instead, he defended issues that did not benefit Canada, did not benefit Canadians, and soured relations with India. This short-sightedness, supporting criminals, acting ignorant of suspicious activities against India because he possibly believed this may help his government to stay, and ignored a lot of alarms that were sent his way. He did not understand when even Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh, who comes from the Sikh community and has always been vocal against Khalistani extremism, did not let Trudeau's aircraft to land in Amritsar in 2018. Trudeau did not listen to India when regular alerts were being sent about criminals increasingly finding shelter in Canada, about Pakistan's support and encouragement to many of those extremists who have found shelter in Canada. All of this possibly for a certain vote bank. Could Jagmeet Singh now take away that vote bank? Or could Jagmeet Singh and the NDP force Trudeau to take some decisions that otherwise the government may not have wanted to do earlier? Because for now, Jagmeet Singh is an intelligent politician. He has possibly realized Trudeau may not win again if Trudeau is slipping on the popularity chart over economy, over immigration issues. If voter fatigue, as per reports, is setting in for people of Canada. An Abacus survey shows that Trudeau's Liberals were 20 points behind Conservatives. The poll also has showed that 57 to 59% of the respondents had a negative view of Justin Trudeau. So Jagmeet Singh says here he can reform the life of Canadians without Liberal support. And well, he does have increasing support on the ground. Election for Canada's Parliament is slated for October 2025. So that means possibly Jagmeet Singh also needs time to prepare and get further funding.
Now we know from there that he didn't let the government topple, and everybody was wondering why. And it's because it started dawning on him, thanks to media outlets like myself, who were exposing him for what he was doing. Now, I wasn't really big at the time. It was more through tweets and Facebook and just a few of the other articles and stuff I was posting and sharing. But there were other outlets that were doing bigger jobs, trying to show people, like, this is not the guy you think he is. Go in front of a union and scream how, oh, I'm going to do this for you and I'll vote them down if they force you back to work. And then he wouldn't vote non-confidence, and the Trudeau government, they didn't need legislation for it. He'd lie right to the unions. Oh, they have to pass legislation, and if they do, I'll vote it down as a confidence motion. That was all lies. It was all lies. He was doing it because he was trying to ascertain power because he was hoping Trudeau would fall faster in the polls and he would steal the seats, which is what we're seeing the opposite of today. Why are we seeing the opposite of it today? I'm going to show you as I expose more and more of this. Jagmeet Singh has shot himself in the foot, literally, because it ends up that the Liberal Party is doing more for the Khalistanis than Singh is. Singh is losing his support in his own riding. They're going to put a Liberal in that seat. Mark my words. A Liberal will take that seat. Khalistani are moving and swinging away from Singh, and they're going to give more power to the Liberals because of what Trudeau has done for them. What has Trudeau done for him? We got a little bit more before we start really dropping big bombs, but this is a really good one.
Joining us now, a very special guest, Ujjwal Dosanjh, the former Minister of Health of Canada. Mr. Dosanjh, do you believe that enough is being done to ensure that Indo-Canadians and Indian nationals in Canada are being adequately protected?
Now, you may not recognize this man. This is an old school Liberal, back before the party had been completely infiltrated. Highly educated man, very smart man. Do I agree with everything he says? No, but he's a Liberal. He's like one of the good Liberals. He's from the old school Liberals who fled when the Liberal Party, when he saw what was happening to the Liberal Party. He had left earlier, and actually I believe he was the Premier of BC for a little while and ran other seats within that parliamentary system within the province. He's quite smart. He's born and raised in India, educated, highly educated. He's very, very fluent. He's, like I said, he's a very smart man. He sees what's going on. He knows what's going on because not only is he a part of that culture, but he's also been high enough in the echelons of society and in Parliament to be able to witness what governments do in order to manipulate for power. So he's seen the full spectrum of it all. Listen very closely to what he says. He hasn't had any room on our media because they don't want people like him exposing the Trudeau government for the takeover that happened when Trudeau took the party over and became what it is today, the full-fledged Screw Canada movement.
You know, the Khalistani violence has existed here for a long time. It had kind of died down for a while, and then Mr. Trudeau's arrival, with his arrival, it raised its ugly head more seriously again. What happened at the Brampton Temple, obviously unfortunate, unacceptable, condemnable. But it also happened at one of the Surrey Hindu temple. It also happened at the Sikh temple in Vancouver. So it's not isolated. Khalistanis, obviously.
And now I'm going to bring up a point here as well that the news hasn't said. There were actually police that were at this that are part of the Khalistani movement that have infiltrated our police, who were caught on tape bashing and pushing the actual people who were trying to stop and get these guys out of their temple. They have infiltrated all levels, just like the Chinese have. Trudeau has completely destroyed every aspect of our country from the bottom up. We have been infiltrated. We have got decades of work to do. Nasty, ugly work to do. That's going to be very hard to do because the last thing you want is for any point in time a certain culture to be brought out in the spotlight when it's not their bloody fault. But that's what Trudeau does. That's what he does. He brings in the worst with the best, and he does it on purpose. Break the vetting so that he can do it purposely. Start dropping all of these investigations. He created this entire, him and his masters created all of this hate, fear, and division for power. All of the crap you're seeing on the streets. Not just the fact that our dollar's plummeting, housing's gone out of, the society's gone to like hell in a handbasket. This is just the beginning, because this is it's going to keep on expanding and growing without a firm hand and some serious, like, we got to kick ass. And it's going to be a hard thing to do, especially when you've got how many Liberal judges appointed? How many? Too many. And like I said on previous episodes, you should never appoint a judge. Ever. Same thing for senators. Ever. It's a democracy. The system itself should pick it, not a political party. Anyways, listen to what he says.
Obviously have been doing violence to other Sikhs in temples for a long, long time. And Canadian government hasn't paid much attention. The law enforcement hasn't paid much attention. And now it's spilled over into the Hindu temples, partly because of the consular officials being there. but partly maybe it's a plan by the Khalistanis to try and drive a wedge between the Sikhs and Hindus that have lived here peacefully as they have in India. Obviously, with the exception of 1984, when that was a horrible situation, unacceptable. But, with the exception of that, the Sikhs and Hindus forever have lived peacefully together. So this may be partly their effort to sow some division and hopefully carry that division from Canada over into India. That's their hope, because they want to finally dismember the country. But the government of Canada, the political class in Canada, they have been, in a certain slumber about these issues, whether inadvertently or advertently. They have not condemned Khalistani violence. They have not named Khalistani violence. They have not called it out. Even the denunciations that have now come from the three leaders don't mention the Khalistanis by name at all. It seems that these guys came from somewhere up in the skies and dropped in and created violence. They're not Khalistanis. They're not Canadians, at least it seems from their statements. And so, the political class has been in somewhat of an amnesia on this issue for a long time. And the law enforcement has left a lot to be desired.
Where does that leave Justin Trudeau? I know he's condemned the attack, as it were, but he's not mentioned or spoken about the Khalistani angle. A lot of people observing what's taken place, and you've got Khalistani flags over there in the video that we're showing. It just seems that he continues to be in denial.
Well, I don't think he's in denial. I think he knows exactly what's happening. Khalistanis were in his cabinet.
Did you hear that? He knows it. The media is not saying anything. And now from part one, you saw, right, what was going on with Chandra, Ruby. There were other party members that dropped out. This bacteria has completely infested even the Liberal Party. Now, are we going to allow it to keep going? Or are we going to get serious and vote these guys out so we can start to fix it?
Us Khalistanis and Islamists, who I know, who wanted an end to the anti-terror legislation in Canada.
Algebra, blah, 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 algebra, blah, blah, algebra, blah, blah, blah. That is now back in power. Who put him there? Carney. And what'd they do? Gave 300 and some million to Palestine. This just happened in the last week and a half. What's the media saying? Nothing. Crickets. All of the Palestinian protest on the streets. They're not Palestinians. They're Hamas people. Fear, hate, and division. They have brought these monsters in on purpose. This guy knows it. He's saying it clear as day.
As part of their program to support a particular candidate for whom I was seeking their support in leadership campaign. And they ended up in his cabinet. So he knows fully what he's doing. He's not oblivious to it. I think he's doing it because he says, why make enemies? Even if you have 1,000 votes in a riding that are Khalistani, why make them angry? I think the Conservatives are following the same kind of playbook. They've cancelled the Diwali event that I have attended when I was an MP for 7 years in Ottawa. And unfortunately, there are no political figures in this country right now in the political mainstream that stand up and say Khalistani violence, Khalistani hate, it doesn't belong in this country. Do you seriously believe that, as Pannu has done, called for the expulsion of Hindus from Canada, do you seriously believe that somebody had stood up and asked for the expulsion of Jews from Canada, that he wouldn't be prosecuted? He wouldn't be picked up by the police the next day and investigated? So there is a total amnesia on this issue, a total lack of effort on the part of the law enforcement as well as the politicians.
Boom! Have you heard that in mainstream media? Nope. Crickets. Not a word. They see what's going on. Like I said, You can't seriously think that you're a journalist and be that stupid. There's no possible way. There's only one answer for it. It means you know, and you're purposely not saying anything. I am terribly sorry. I'm Canadian, and I don't stand for that. And that's why I brought this channel. That's why I do what I'm doing now. And this is why I need your support. I need you to make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Help me grow this channel. Make sure if you are subscribed to punch that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes like the next one, because the next one is the biggest. It's the one where I'm gonna just start exposing everything. And it's already late, but you know what? I'm gonna try and hammer it off and get it done so that you don't have to wait. You'll be able to watch this one, and then you'll be able to watch the next one. And I don't want you to build the suspense too much, but trust me, it's worth it. What I'm going to expose is going to blow your mind away. You've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, Alias Tagai. I'll see you soon.